Hello, Internet. How are we this evening as we march ever closer to World War III, it seems? Yeah, I'm having a sort of a somber evening this evening. Just watching too much depressing stuff. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Depressing stuff. And yeah, maybe get your tinfoil hats ready. I don't know. I'm not going to present any sort of I'm not going to present an opinion because I always have an opinion, but I'm not going to try and paint any sort of picture because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in Russia. I don't know. ISIS has claimed responsibility for what happened over there. And I'm not going to claim to know what's going on, but I don't believe a lot of the stuff that's coming out. And when you ask certain questions and they get shot down and you get called things, and it seems like people really don't want anyone painting that sort of narrative, I get very suspicious. And I think that might be the actual narrative. So yeah, Russia terrorist attack. I'm sure you guys already saw, but there's other stuff that I want to talk about before we even get into that. And somehow it all seems to tie together. So get your maps and your strings ready and get your tinfoil ready because that's sort of where we're going tonight. So how's everybody doing? Let's see who we got in the chat. All right. Pretty quiet tonight. Lurching, nice to see you. And yeah, we'll get right into it. Before we do, if you could give that little like button a gentle tap, it'd be much appreciated. So, all right, we'll get right into stuff. Before we even get into the Russia, Ukraine, ISIS crap and the terrorist attack, I want to talk about Mike Gallagher because if you guys watched my episode from last week, which I think is the most important episode that I've done, it's called The All-Seeing Eye. If you want to watch that one, the reason I called it that was because it was about Palantir that they nefariously called Palantir, the orb from Lord of the Rings, the one that if you pick it up, it sort of makes you crazy. Yeah, they decided to call it that, and that's just a little nefarious. Peter Thiel. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to continue with that. So let's talk about Mike Gallagher first. If you guys, I'm sure you guys are already aware, but RGS, nice to see you, man. Let's see here. So actually, let me get in the right view. That's the wrong view. Okay. All right. So the RGS. Well, you're not skipping any beats, are you? Kind of weird how Israel is under fire and now ISIS is coming back. Yeah, well, we'll get into that. We will definitely get into that. But before we do, let's talk a bit about Mike Gallagher. So he comes out with a statement last night that was pretty interesting. So this is from Rep Mike Gallagher's press office here. And he released a statement and saying, after careful conversations with my family, I have made the decision to resign my position as a member of the House of Representatives for Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District, effective April 19th, 2024. Huh. Why is he waiting so long, guys? Why is he waiting a full month? I've worked closely with House Republican leadership on this timeline and look for... We're going to have you, because House Republicans don't seem to be too stoked about this. I've worked closely with House Republican leadership on this timeline and look forward to seeing Speaker Johnson appoint a new chair to carry out the important mission of the Select Subcommittee on the Chinese Communist Party. My office will continue to operate and provide constituent services to the 8th District of the remainder of the term. 4 terms serving Northeast Wisconsin in Congress have been an honor of a lifetime and strengthened my conviction that America is the greatest country in the history of the world. I will forever be proud of the work I did on the Armed Services and Intelligence Committees, chairing the Cyberspace Solarium Commission, interesting, and chairing the Select Committee on Chinese Communist Party. It has truly been an honor to serve in the House of Representatives. Okay, so that hasn't left people too happy. So first thing, let's jump over to Charlie Kirk here. So first things first, Charlie Kirk says, Rep. Mike Gallagher has announced he is resigning his congressional seat effective April 19th. This is calculated. Gallagher could leave now and allow his safe Republican seat to be filled quickly. Instead, he is deliberately leaving on a timeline that will leave the seat empty until November, leaving the GOP majority even smaller and making a Democrat House takeover a real possibility. Gallagher is a traitor to his party and to the people who voted him in. What a spiteful, repulsive creature. So he didn't pull any punches there. So a lot of people are speculating that. So I'll just come out and say I don't think this was Gallagher's decision at all. It's his hand is being pushed here, and a lot of people are coming out and speculating that another person will step down, giving the Dems the majority. So we'll continue. Let's listen to what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say about it. Everybody's focusing on that aspect of it, and that isn't even what jumped right out at me. Somebody pointed something out to me, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me, especially because of the rabbit hole that I've just gone down. But everybody seems to be focused on the fact that he's stepping down and they won't be able to fill his seat, which valid concern, definitely a valid concern, but there's something else that just jumped right out at me. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? But we'll get into that in a second. Let's listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene tell Steve Bannon why she's so upset. So MTG wants Republican Mike Gallagher expelled from Congress after he announced he will resign. What Mike Gallagher did yesterday was intentional, purposeful, and puts our entire majority at risk. I think he should be expelled. Fair concern. So definitely a fair concern. I'm not trying to poo-poo that at all. It's definitely a valid concern, but it's not what jumped out at me first. But let's listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene talk to Steve Bannon.
Support of the Warren posse of people that called me, have texted me, Congressman Greene, 100% support of the Warren posse of people that called me, have texted me, have come online and tracked me down. 100% support for your position. Where do we go from here? Where do you go from here in spreading this message?
Well, we're in a very dangerous situation, Steve. What Mike Gallagher did yesterday was intentional, purposeful, and puts our entire majority at risk. I think he should be expelled preeminently before he's allowed to just walk out of Congress at a date of his choosing, where his district doesn't get to replace him until next Congress. I think that is completely wrong. I think people should be able to have a voice. His district deserves a voice in Congress, and we should expel him, and that way his district can replace him as quickly as possible with a special election. Our majority is too important to throw away, and the horrible, dishonest and completely irresponsible actions of many in our Republican majority have led us to where we are. When people leave early, it's a math game. They're the ones that put us at risk of losing the majority. Every member that leaves early puts us at risk of losing the majority. Expelling Republican members for a Democrat to control and take over the seat like they did to George Santos puts us at risk of Hakeem Jeffries becoming the Speaker of the House. It's not me putting in a motion to vacate like a pink slip, letting Mike Johnson know that his speakership is over, and also informing our entire conference that we need to come together, move forward, and start the process, and no matter how long it takes, to decide who our next speaker is going to be, one that the American people will trust, and one that will not do the bidding of the deep state and the CIA and the continued effort to destroy America. So that's where we're going from here. And this process may take a while, but I think it's the most important. Yes, painful. I don't care how painful it is. If you want to lead this country, you better get ready to be uncomfortable and get comfortable being uncomfortable, because we have a job to do, and our job is to save America. And that is not an easy task, and it's not going to be quick. It's going to take us a long time.
All right. So I don't disagree with really anything that she said right there. Terry Wallace, I'm deeply disturbed by Gallagher's actions. Me as well. I don't know if RGS. I don't know if I really trust Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a lot of bark, no bite. Actions speak louder than words. Yeah. I agree with that. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but don't pay a lot of attention to her. Yeah, same. There's just more, what she was saying there. It's, you can agree and not think she's going to do anything. So that's kind of what I think. And it's kind of what she was saying isn't really the point of what I'm getting at. Eric, sorry, MTG, no such being exists in Congress today. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, okay, let's keep going here. So this whole him stepping down and leaving the seat. So, if one other person steps down, they lose the majority. And a lot of people are speculating that's going to happen. And Jeffries is awful. The dude is awful. Dude sounds like a Marxist when he talks. And, well, he very well could be. But let's review a little. So this is what I think is the more important issue here with the whole Mike Gallagher thing. And he's the one that brought this TikTok bill. He's the one that made it all possible. And I'll just, before we even watch the video, Palantir contributed a ton to his campaign, and he introduces this bill, and it looks like they're going to try and force the sale of TikTok. And the front runner, so to speak, for purchasing it is Steve Mnuchin. Steve Mnuchin is putting together a group of people. He hasn't said who they are, and to purchase TikTok. And I would imagine one of them is going to be Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel, the owner of Palantir, who contributed to Mike Gallagher. And where is Mike Gallagher going? Right when he leaves, he's going to Palantir. So this whole circular thing is happening. And that, to me, is the bigger issue. You had this Jonathan Greenblatt audio coming out talking about how they really need to control how he's saying it's not a left-right issue. This whole Israel-Palestine thing is not a left-right issue. He's right. It's split both sides, but he says it's a young and old issue. And he wants to, from what he's saying, he essentially wants to control the narrative of people under 30. And what platform do people under 30 use? They use TikTok. So they want to force the sale of TikTok. And, I mean, Steve Mnuchin, he's a government guy. He's intelligence agencies guy. They want to force the sale of a private company. So essentially the government can take control of this. And then you have the Department of Defense coming. So the government takes control of it. Then somebody potentially that owns Palantir. If you guys don't know what Palantir is, it's this huge global surveillance system, essentially, of online information, and it aggregates data and has the power to create lists. And with the implementation of AI, it can sift through all this metadata that was impossible to sift through before, and they can set parameters that just pops out lists of people that could be potential threats, like pre-crime, like minority report status. And then with what's freaking, geez, I'm blanking on his name right now. I don't know why, but the Department of Defense comes out today and essentially says, yeah, we're doing threat assessments on people that we don't think should have firearms. And it seems like they want to create lists of people that are potential threats and say they shouldn't have firearms. They didn't say we're going to go confiscate weapons, but it seems like that's kind of the direction this is heading. So, you got them trying to force the sale of TikTok, and the bill's introduced by somebody that owns this crazy dragnet online surveillance system. Steve Mnuchin says he's putting together a group of people that's going to buy it. So they're trying to put this into government hands, control the narrative, and from what I see, create lists. This whole thing is highly, highly nefarious to me. And this is what jumps out at me way more than the vacated seat. So let's go over to this is Ian Carroll. I played the video last week, but he explains the whole Mike Gallagher situation. And this is before he announced that he was going to step down, that Ian Carroll made this video. So let's watch this one really quick.
In my last video, I showed that the Zionists are trying to buy TikTok, but Has anyone looked at who brought the bill in the first place? And
So he's referencing Steve Mnuchin there. Steve Mnuchin, the ADL, APAC, all of that. That's who he's saying is trying to, and that is what it looks like. That is definitely what it looks like. And the APAC and Palantir were two of Gallagher's biggest contributors. The person that bought the bill, owner Peter Thiel, of also the owner of Palantir, Peter Thiel, heavily. Yeah. Anyway, they contributed heavily to that.
who pays him? Because I just did. Here, check this out. This is the bill right here. Representative Mike Gallagher. That would be this charming devil right here. And if we look at his top contributors for this election cycle, Palantir and Google are at the top with $44,000 and $40,000. But
And if you know, so Google, you can't tell where Google ends and CIA begins. I showed you guys all the people that sit on the Google. They're high up people at Google. There's like 7 of them that are all former CIA. Intelligence agencies say once you're CIA, you're basically CIA for life. So you've got Palantir and Google. So Palantir and the CIA are trying to do this. And then you got APAC.
But right there, that's APAC with $17,000. But wait, there's more. We're going to switch this to the last election cycle in 2022 and scroll down. And would you look at that? His top contributor that got him elected in 2022 was APAC with $44,000 contribution. If you didn't know, that's the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, the Zionist lobby group that doesn't need to register as a foreign agent because they refuse to. So just to clarify, the TikTok ban bill was introduced by a guy whose some of his top contributions are coming from the Zionists and from Google and Palantir, top tech companies associated with the CIA and Mossad. And now
And that about APAC not having to register as a foreign agent. It's like, why? How? Everybody else does. The more I look at all of this stuff, the more it becomes obvious that Israel really just does whatever the hell we want, whatever the hell they want. And not we. I'm definitely not associated with Israel. That was not a Floridian slip either. They do whatever the heck they want. And we just kind of say, okay, whatever you want to do, that's fine. We're okay with that.
Mnuchin's trying to buy it. And ever since he stopped being Treasury Secretary for Trump, his business model is basically just ally with as many Zionists as humanly possible. People like David Friedman, people like the ex-chief of Mossad, Yossi Cohen, getting board seats on companies like Cyber Reason, an Israeli tech cyber company, which it's worth noting also has a Google person on their board, as well as Lockheed Martin. I mean, I'm speculating here. These are not facts, but it's looking more and more like the Israel lobby is the one that brought the bill. And now it's looking like Zionists are lining up to buy TikTok.
And then Mike Gallagher, the man who brought the bill, says he's going to step down in a looks like a move to allow Democrats to take control. And he's going straight to one of these high-tech surveillance companies associated with intelligence agencies.
Can't imagine why. And if you can't imagine why, here's an audio from the chief of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, that might enlighten you.
So this is Jonathan Greenblatt, the guy that's been going to war with Elon, trying to censor people. And it's always censoring people about a very specific topic that we're not supposed to talk about, that you'll be called anti-Semitic for talking about.
As to why.
So this is back in December. We have a TikTok problem. We have a Gen Z problem. And then just a few months later, they've been talking about for years how dangerous TikTok is. But once he comes out and says all this, a few months later, they're trying to force the sale of TikTok.
The same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations need to put our energy towards this, like fast. Because again, like we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation.
Are you getting the picture yet? Because I got a picture that might help you. And I just want to remind you that pro-Palestine content on TikTok is some of the most censored content there is. And despite that, this is the data from TikTok. No one on TikTok is trying to support Israel. Everyone on TikTok is trying to support Palestine. Mr. Greenblatt is right. The Zionists have a major TikTok problem. And they should probably start devoting all of their energy towards this. You feel me? But what do I know? I'm just some dude in his living room. I bet the government's telling us the truth. I bet it's all about China.
I don't know, guys. It's very suspect. Very suspect. And yeah, I know this topic makes a lot of you guys very uncomfortable. I don't like talking about it. I haven't for the longest time. I avoid even talking about this. I avoid even looking at any of this stuff. And unfortunately, it can't be ignored anymore. This stuff has to be looked at. So we are going to continue looking at it. And yeah, I know there's one particular person that that's watching right now that doesn't probably agree with me on a lot of this stuff. And I'm not trying to make any hardcore stance on this. I'm trying to say what the evidence is suggesting. And the evidence is suggesting that Israel is trying to force the sale of TikTok and Israel is trying to buy it. Essentially, that's what it seems. So we'll continue. Let's keep going here. So yeah, this is just a Rolling Stone article. This is the headline from it. So disappeared. Lawmaker who led TikTok ban bill joins private surveillance firm report. This is all the articles I tried to find are all behind a paywall. So this is just the headline. But Mike Gallagher pushes the bill to ban TikTok because China can surveil its users. Now he's resigning and joining an American surveillance firm. So they're just mad that China has control of the most dominant platform. And they desperately need control of it because they've lost control of Twitter. They've lost control of X because Elon's in charge of it. And it seems they've sort of given up on trying to control that platform. So they're moving to what they perceive as the most important platform to control. That's what it seems like here. We'll keep going. And this is just what I said to Jonathan Greenblatt. I just told him, Palantir sure donated a lot of money to your campaign. Weird how you're stepping down right after introducing the TikTok bill, only to go and work for Palantir. Will Peter Thiel be partnering with Steve Mnuchin to buy TikTok once the government forces them to sell? Will with the help from your bill? It's suspect. It's suspect as hell. So then when I wake up this morning, I see this. This is insane. So Palantir would make this next thing much easier for the government to do. When I say the government, and I now think of CIA and Mossad as hand in hand, and it's starting to look like Israel has a whole lot of influence, if not control, over our government. It really does seem to be that way. And that's making that statement makes people extremely uncomfortable because you get called anti-Semitic. I'm talking about a government. I'm critiquing a government. If anyone said yeah, communists have Chinese communists, the CCP has infiltrated the federal government, or it seems like the CCP has control over the federal government. That wouldn't invoke any sort of, bad feeling in the tummy. It would make people nervous to talk about. But Israel is a foreign nation. Yeah, they are our closest ally, but it's starting to seem that they have very strategically placed people within our government that are going to be more loyal to Israel than they are to America. I think dual citizenship is a major problem. It's a huge conflict of interest, and CIA and Mossad are just heavily intertwined. And all this stuff goes back a very long time. The whole, I always talk about the Herbert Hoover and Meyer Lansky crap. Like this stuff goes back a very, very long time. And the Iran-Contra stuff, they are very intertwined. So if they force the sale of TikTok, and then they can use Palantir to, aggregate all that data and create essentially lists of people that are potential threats. Well, this is what Merrick Garland came out today. So this is from the U.S. Justice Department, and they released a statement from Merrick Garland, and this is insane to me. This freaking blew my mind. So the launch of the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center will provide our partners across the nation with vulnerable resources to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to themselves or others. The establishment of the center is the latest example of the Justice Department's work to use every tool provided by the landmark bipartisan Safer Communities Act to protect communities from gun violence. This is a Trojan horse to take guns from people. This is what this looks the what do they call it? The Justice Department's landmark bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Safer Communities Act, guys. That's all this is. It's the puppy dogs and rainbows bill. This blew my mind. I'm going to read it one more time. The launch of the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center will provide our partners across the country with valuable resources to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to themselves or others. How are you going to do that? How are you going to keep these firearms out of people's hands that haven't committed a crime? What are you saying? What are you talking about? The establishment of the center is the latest example of the Justice Department's work to use every tool provided by the landmark bipartisan Safer Communities Act to protect communities from gun violence. So is this big giant bill that just came out that had like 1,000-something pages, and they just wanted everybody to sign it and nobody's really gone through it yet? Is that what this is? Oops. So that really was a major red flag to me. We'll close this. Okay, so that's going on. All right, let me check the chat here real quick. Jeez, StreamYard's getting all wonky on me. Daniel C. CIA planned the attack in Russia with Israel. Hold on, we're gonna get there. I'm not going to go out and make super broad statements like that, but I will say what the evidence is suggesting. I'm not trying to be wishy-washy, but yeah, it does. There's people that are claiming that Russia did it as a false flag. I don't think that's the case. There's people saying that ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack. A lot of people aren't buying it, including myself. I'm not buying that at all. And they are saying that it was on behalf of Ukraine. And there's other people, like right now, Israel is ISIS is trending right now. There's a lot of people are looking at this stuff with a lot more scrutiny. And there's sort of a lot of writing on the wall right now that's hard to ignore. So let's see. Daniel, ISIS woke up from a 10-year sleep to attack Russia. Yeah, it's like that's the thing. ISIS hasn't done anything in a super long time. So then all of a sudden they go and they do this horrible terrorist attack. I mean, the footage is brutal. The footage is horrific. The RGS, it's all because of the Patriot Act. Well, CIA equals Mossad, so they will equal to Google and FBI. Dude, what is done in the dark will be brought to light. Deception always runs in the truth. Keep pushing. Wait, what? LOL. The guise of public safety. We need to take your rights. Well, that's what they always say, right? It's always because it's for your safety. All right, let's keep going here. So, all right, so, okay, let's go over to Massey. So Thomas Massey reacts to this, and he says, let me expand this here. So Massey, Massey probably is the only person in government that I just straight up trust. I trust Massey. And I think he's including Rand Paul, I think he's the only person that I can say I trust. I trust Massey. Just leave it at that. But he says DOJ waited until the omnibus passed before announcing the new National Red Flag Center, so you wouldn't know what the omnibus money is being spent on. Republicans blast Biden's red flag operation as one that will violate the Second Amendment rights. So he links the article here. We'll open it. All right. So this is from Fox News. Republicans blast Republicans blast Biden administration's red flag operation as one that will violate Second Amendment rights. So, Vice President Kamala Harris will travel to Florida on Saturday, where she will tout a Biden administration effort to provide training and technical assistance to individuals responsible for implementing laws designed to keep the guns out of the hands of people who pose a threat to themselves or others. The new program drew immediate backlash from some Republicans who called the effort a massive red flag operation. It is. That's exactly what this is. National Extreme Risk Protection Center, ERPO, Resource Center, according to Saturday Department of Justice press release, will specifically provide assistance to law enforcement officials, prosecutors, attorneys, judges, clinicians, victim service and social service providers, community organizers, and behavioral health professionals. ERPO laws, which are modeled off domestic violence protection orders, create a civil process allowing law enforcement, family members in most states, and medical professionals or other groups in some states to petition a court to temporarily prohibit someone at a risk of harming themselves or others from purchasing and possessing firearms for the duration of the order. So yeah, this is an order that would allow them, if they deemed a person a threat to themselves or others, they could send the cops to your house and make you hand over your firearms. That appears to be what this is. And they're expanding this crap. During her visit to Parkland's Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where 17 people were killed in February of 2018 mass shooting, so that's where David Hogg comes from, like that little asset. Harris is expected to introduce the effort and call on all states to pass red flag laws and use federal funding to implement existing laws, according to the White House. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement that the effort will provide valuable resources to those seeking to keep firearms out of the hands of those deemed a threat to themselves and others. The launch of the National it's just a statement. The launch of the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center will provide our partners across the country with valuable resources to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals who pose a threat to themselves or others. I already read this. The establishment of the center is the latest example of the Justice Department work to use every tool provided by the landmark bipartisan Safer Communities Act to protect communities from gun violence. So this was part of the omnibus bill that passed that nobody got to read. Though the Resource Center and its website, the Justice Department noted that states, local governments, law enforcement, prosecutors, attorneys, judges, clinicians, victim services providers, blah, 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 will have direct access to critical information that will enhance their ability to reduce firearm homicides and suicides. They will have direct access to critical information. Okay. How? What? Through what mechanism? What mechanism will they have access to this critical information? Is this something new that they're going to build? Some sort of grand data filtering program that's being created currently. The website will be maintained and updated to include newly developed resources for the field. The website will be maintained and updated. You mean lists? Like people will be added to the list to include newly developed resources for the field created through the center in partnership with the Bureau of Justice Assistance. I never heard of that. Is that another agency? The DOJ said. The website also provides a platform for the center to highlight emerging and promising practices in successful ERPO implementation and connect states and localities to innovative strategies to reduce gun violence and save lives. The creation of the resource operation quickly drew the ire of some Republicans who blasted the effort as a federal red flag center. Yep, that's what it is. The DOJ will use to violate the Second Amendment rights of Americans. Absolutely. What the hell is this evil? Okay, so he's referencing Massey here. A federal red flag center. Yeah, this is Massey's tweet here. He says, "What the hell is this evil? A federal red flag center? We did not authorize this. Announced, of course, just hours after the omnibus bill passes." Yeah, so very strategically waited to do that. So just like Mike Gallagher stepping down right after the TikTok bill was introduced, and it looks like they're forcing the sale. Oh, that was weird. The light just went out. Oh, I think my bulb just died. That was kind of bizarre. All right, now it's dark in here. Oh. Uh-oh. Did I lose you guys? Let me see. Am I still here? That's weird. It's like my power strip tripped right now. All right, I guess we're going to be extra dark tonight. Turn my other lights up. Apologize, guys. All right. Sorry, I'm going to look all weird tonight now. Let's see. Daniel, armed news agency release a video, but they have their faces blurred and the sound is blurred too. It almost sounds like they're saying Allah Akbar, but no one is eating that. That is pro production edit. Holy shit, this bill is a dog. Good thing I'm leaving Cali next month and moving to Russia. Are you serious? Post. Man, that's funny. My friend's wife's brother moved to Russia a few years ago. Can't be you haven't mentioned Clinton. That's funny. All right, we'll keep going here. So actually that's the end of the article, but oh no, it's not. Echoing Massey, Georgia Republican Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed concern in a post on social media over how the effort could be used to target certain Americans. Merrick Garland just announced a massive red flag operation that the DOJ will be running by using every spy tool the U.S. government has in order to violate America's Second Amendment. This comes hours after Johnson fully funded Biden's weaponized DOJ, Greene wrote. Yes, and this ties into forcing the TikTok sale and Palantir. Like that, this whole thing is connected. So let's go over to Chief Nerd over here because he points out something. So this is from New York. This is New York's ERPO. And what does that stand for again? What does ERPO stand for? It's something risk assessment. Okay. The National Extreme Risk Protection Order, ERPO. That's what it stands for. Extreme Risk Protection Order. All right. So New York already has this in place. So this is New York's ERPO, Extreme Risk Protection Order. So this is, he highlights these certain things. So this is one of the pages out of it. And what he highlighted here, it says, petitioner believes that the respondent is likely to engage in conduct that will result in serious harm to self or others because the respondent has engaged in, exhibited, or committed the following behaviors, right? And one of the boxes they can check, one of these behaviors that is such a red flag, one of these behaviors that's so concerning to them is evidence of recent acquisition of a firearm, rifle, shotgun, or other deadly weapon or dangerous instrument or any ammunition thereof. So they can, from this extreme risk protection order, and I believe it only needs to be one of these criteria need to be met. One of them is you bought a gun or ammo, and they could say, oh, you're an extreme risk, and they can come to your house and take your weapons. Like, that's how broadly this thing is written. I mean, it's right here. Evidence of recent acquisition of a firearm, rifle, shotgun, or other deadly weapon or dangerous instrument, or ammunition therefore. So if you bought a box of ammo, you bought a box of freaking 9mm, that is all they need to say you are an extreme risk. And they can, in theory, come to your house and take your firearms for an indefinite period of time. They can take this to a judge and say, here, judge, we think this person is a threat. They just bought a gun. And the judge can, I mean, look what these corrupt New York judges are doing right now. A judge can just be like, yep, I agree with you. They bought a gun. They're a threat. Check the box, give them the order. Now the police can come to your house and take your firearms. That is what this looks like. I mean, tell me what I'm missing here, you guys. Like, what am I missing? This is freaking insane. It's Thomas Massey. He had another tweet about it. The DOJ waited until the omnibus bill passed before announcing the new National Red Flag Center, so you wouldn't know what the omnibus money was being spent on. Republicans blast by so this, what Palantir does and what they've built and what they are continuing to build, and I would imagine OpenAI will get involved with this. It's all of everything you do on your device or on your computer. It all creates metadata, where you've been, what you've GPS, purchases, all the stuff you talk about, and they can create algorithms that have certain keywords that flag you, that flags things that you've written on social media. Like, I don't trust the government. All of a sudden, with AI, they can write whatever prompt they want to sift through all this data they've collected that Edward Snowden told us about over like 10 years ago now. They can sift through this data really fast now, and they can just pop out lists of people that are extreme risk assessments. In theory, going and taking your firearms. So all this stuff to me is like one big circular thing. It's controlling the narrative around a certain topic that they don't like us talking about, and also giving them the tools they need to confiscate firearms. That's what this looks like. It looks like the gun grab is rapidly approaching. They are going to, I don't know how they would do this though. Like, so many people own firearms. I guess they would, if the US tries to implement a voluntary gun buyback program, a voluntary involuntary gun buyback program, outlawing assault weapons or something like that, that's how you know this shit is coming. I would not be surprised that in the next few months we see this super corrupt regime that is in charge of our federal government right now make some sort of announcement like, yeah, we have outlawed assault weapons, and then they'll even more broadly classify assault weapons as, I've seen it written many times, any semi-automatic weapon that, so all that you can have is like revolvers and lever guns, which, I got my lever gun. But you guys, they are setting the stage for all of this. It really, like, yeah, sure, give me my tinfoil. This is what it's looking like. So, all right, let's see. Daniel, every day more and more of my friends are moving to Russia. Biden is destroying America. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to move to Russia, though. What's funny is you are allowed to own firearms in Russia. I think you can have up to 10. And the left calls Trump a dictator. The irony, might as well call it the Chinese security bill. Let me guess. They blend this bill with the border funding, probably. The RGS. Well, we're screwed here. Yeah, well, all right. Let's keep going here. That's pretty much all I have on that particular topic right there. So, yeah, that's going on, guys. That is what's happening. So yeah, let's move to the Russia situation, because this one's no fun. Okay, I'm actually making decent time right now. Let's go over and all right, trigger warning, you guys, because I am going to show the footage, because the footage is horrific, and I don't care about YouTube anymore. Genko 1, nice to see you. All right, let's keep going here. So trigger warning, guys. This is not easy to watch here, and go over to Raw's alerts. My computer's running really slow right now. Got too many tabs open. I'll give you guys time to look away if you don't want to see this, because this is pretty brutal footage here. And I am going to show it. I don't even know if it goes against the rules on YouTube, but I don't care. I'm not trying to get my account nuked, but I'm not trying to get it nuked either. I don't care what their rules are. So okay, so this actually doesn't show super gory stuff in this video. Oh, I lied. It does show gory stuff, so it's about to get brutal. All right, so I don't know what started the fire. I don't know if that was a drone that hit that center or whatever, but yeah, I don't, there's more footage, but I don't want to show more footage. You guys get the picture. There was 4 guys that went in and they just started indiscriminately shooting civilians. Like, no mercy, just indiscriminately shooting civilians. It was an absolute massacre. I think 60 people have died. It was bad. It was extremely bad. And I'm looking for, I don't have these ones in the right order that I would like tonight, so I'm sort of hunting around. Okay. So we gave our embassy a warning a couple of weeks ago to avoid these types of events. And Kirby over here, so John Kirby talks about this 2 weeks ago, how we warned our embassy. And then he almost seems like he's backtracking on it. Sorry, my computer's running really slow, guys. So this is Kirby talking about a couple of weeks ago that we gave our embassy notice to avoid these types of venues like concerts and large crowded things.
I've also seen, hopefully you saw our State Department or embassy there put out a notice to all Americans in Moscow to avoid any large gathering, concerts, obviously shopping malls, anything like that, just for their own safety. They should stay put where they are and stay plugged into the State Department for any additional updates and information. I'm afraid that's really all I have on that. Now, in Ukraine, today Russia launched a massive wave. I've also seen, hopefully you saw our State Department or embassy there put out.
Okay, so Daniel, was that? Yeah, Daniel in the chat, you're saying some say there was 200 people on the roof, but it collapsed, so there's gonna be way more bodies. Oh, geez. Okay, that's awful. Ganko 1, you read it was a Molotov cocktail. That would be surprising. They were trying. There was some drone attacks in Moscow a few days ago, I thought, where they have these makeshift drones just flying into buildings trying to start fires. We'll keep going. So Kirby announces that, hey, we let our embassy know to avoid these, large crowded venues. And then this is, I believe this is today.
Thank you. So question, did the U.S. have prior knowledge of this attack in Moscow, given that the U.S. embassy had issued warning beforehand?
I'm not aware of any advanced knowledge that we had of this terrible attack.
I'm not aware of any advanced knowledge that we had. That's a pretty wishy-washy answer. That's advanced knowledge, meaning not just we've heard chatter that something might go down, but knowledge of the actual attack. And he's all wishy-washy about it.
March 8th, the embassy warns of imminent attack in Moscow by extremists.
Yeah, I think that I'll let the State Department speak to that. But I don't think that was related to this specific attack.
And him and Jean Pierre, whatever, Karine Jean Pierre, they do this thing where they do the Spider-Man thing, the Spider-Man meme where everybody points at each other. Oh, I'll let the State Department answer that. I'll let the Department of Justice answer that. They always do this thing where it's just back and forth, and then they say, oh, well, the other person answered you. It's like, no, they didn't. You guys just pointed at each other. All right, so let's keep going here. So they allegedly caught the guys, and in typical Russian fashion, apparently they cut this dude's ear off and fed it to him, is the rumor. And yeah, trigger warning, guys. This is a little bit gory, but we're gonna watch it anyway.
Что делал в Крокусе?
Застрелил.
Что? Застрелил?
Да.
Кого? Почему наказание?
Людей.
Зачем? Поставьте, пожалуйста, его.
За деньги.
The thing that stands out to me is, why would 4 guys go into this center, commit these crimes without having like a for sure escape plan to get out of there? You know that if you get caught by the Russians, like, they're going to torture you and then keep you on an IV to keep you alive for as long as they can. Like, they're going to go medieval on you. It's going to be horrific. So that's the thing that's sort of suspect to me. Is like, why would they even go in there if they didn't have an escape plan? And yeah, just, what's going to happen to you. Why would you do this? What amount of money would make you think this is an achievable goal? And yeah, I mean, well, I guess, you're already a psychopath if you could just go in and just murder indiscriminately. So anyway, let's keep watching.
Так, сколько денег?
Где-то 500 000.
500 000 чего?
500 000 рублей.
От кого получал?
Еще не получал, половину получал.
Где
So I obviously don't know what he's saying. Any of you Russian speakers in the chat?
получал?
По карту.
Oh, he's not speaking Russian, but I don't know what language he's speaking.
На карту переводил?
Да.
Где карта?
Карта бросали за все одежды, не успели.
Потеряли.
Да.
Где оружие брали?
Оружие они сам доставили.
Кто они?
Не знаю, по телеграмм написали без имя, без фамилии, без ничего.
А как тебя нашли? Ты сам их искал или они тебя нашли?
Нет, они мне написали.
А почему они именно тебе написали?
Не знаю, я слушал там уроки.
Ну как так? Тебе взяли, предложили просто так убивать людей? Просто так не предлагают никому убивать людей.
Нет, я в телеграмме урок учился.
Кто задержал?
Урок.
Что в телеграме?
Урок слушал. Да. Он проповеди слушал.
Проповедника слушал?
Да.
И он на тебе написал?
Ее помощник мне написал.
Как помощника зовут?
Не знаю, без имя, без фамилии, без ничего мне написал только.
All right, you guys get the picture. I don't know what he's saying. We'll keep going here. All right, let's go over to David Sachs, because they started jumping all over him when he said this. He got all the NAFO fellas jumping all over him. So David Sachs says, if the Ukrainian government was behind the terrorist attack, as looks increasingly likely, the U.S. must renounce it or else we become complicit. The U.S. would never forgive a terrorist attack like this, and neither will the Russians. Absolutely right. if, they're saying it's ISIS, but, if Ukraine somehow got ISIS fighters to go do this, yeah, the U.S. needs to denounce it. And if we find out that this was indeed Ukraine or, intelligence agencies, that's the thing. If it was, and I'm not saying it was, but if Mossad was behind this in any way, well, that implicates us in this, doesn't it? You can't really denounce it. So they would have to pin the whole thing on Ukraine. And again, I'm not saying it was Mossad or the CIA. A lot of people think it was, but and what would the reason behind that be? If, why would the CIA want to do this sort of attack? Why would Mossad want to have this sort of thing happen? Well, they could keep funding the war in Ukraine. They could provoke Russia into having a extreme reaction to this, extremely escalating the war, and then they can use that as provocation to boots on the ground, bring in NATO, obviously more funding. It allows us to get farther into the war. Why would they want that? Well, military industrial complex, all that stuff. So he got hammered on this. They put a community note on it. It says, these claims are conspiracy theories which were never confirmed by the mainstream media. This is a Russian propaganda tactic known as fire hose and falsehood. So all he said is, if the Ukrainian government was behind this terrorist attack, as looks increasingly likely, and they're saying that's a conspiracy theory. Why would it be a conspiracy theory to suggest that the country they're at war with hired fighters to go do this terrible attack on Moscow? Why is that that's just a theory. That's not a conspiracy. That's a theory of something that might have happened. Why, when you ask the question, you get super attacked on it. So David Sachs responds to the community note by saying, pro-Ukraine accounts are becoming increasingly hysterical over this post. They also became hysterical when I wrote that it didn't make sense for Russia to blow up Nordstream. A peace deal was available in Istanbul. The U.S. was running out of ammunition. The counteroffensive was failing. The West had boots on the ground in Ukraine. Navalny could have died of natural causes. All now confirmed by mainstream media. This one is easy. Navalny died of natural causes? Okay, that seems a little suspect to me, but we'll keep going. We'll go over to Aaron Matei from the Gray Zone. He says, if ISIS is indeed behind the Moscow attack, here's a likely reason why. Russia helped prevent an ISIS takeover of Syria during the CIA-led dirty war there. John Kerry admitted this, while also disclosing that U.S. watched ISIS grow in Syria in the hopes that it would overthrow Assad. So, yeah, we created ISIS. That's a known that ISIS was a product of the Obama administration, from all that I can tell. And Trump seems to be on that page too, because this is from him earlier. This is him at a rally. Sorry, again, my computer's running really slow tonight. Yeah, this is what Trump had to say about the whole situation.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
All right, so this clip is circulating a lot right now. I think this is an old clip. I don't think this is from some recent rally. This looks like when he was running back in 2016. So, yeah, I don't think this is a new clip, but it's circulating right now like it is a new clip. But yeah, so Trump said it a long time ago, or yeah, I don't think that was right now, but These are the 4 guys, apparently, that carried out this attack. 5 guys. All right, we'll keep going here. Okay, so this is a video that shows, it says AP published footage of a Ukrainian unit commander wearing an ISIS patch. So you guys watch this clip really quick. You guys tell me, is this an ISIS patch? I mean, this is a Ukrainian unit. Is this an ISIS patch he's wearing? I don't know what's up with the music here, but is this an ISIS patch? You guys tell me. Okay, so they are alleging that that's a Ukrainian unit with an ISIS patch. Let's see. RGS, you heard about the drums. Sounds like your answer. It sounds like your answer 2 weeks ago says you're a liar. I'm not sure what you mean there. Yep, full-on ISIS patch as well as all their actual Nazi patches. Oh yeah, they're Azov battalion crap. Okay. Daniel L. Lefties jump to call everything they see a conspiracy. And again, I'm not saying for sure I know what's going on, but all of these questions have to be asked. You can't just dismiss all this stuff as that's a conspiracy theory. That's anti-Semitic to say the Israeli government is involved in any particular thing. You have to at least ask the question. All right, let's keep going here. This is from, okay, so just like what's his face? Kirby, just like John Kirby announced that we released that information to our embassy saying that avoid large crowds, avoid theaters, all that kind of thing. And then 2 weeks later, this attack happens. Well, you guys remember the Nordstream pipeline? How it was like, no, Russia blew up their own pipeline, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Well, remember what Biden and Victoria Nuland said leading up to that? I mean, this is before the Nord Stream pipeline, what they said about it. Oops.
Continue to have very strong and
sorry, I thought about it.
With regard to Nord Stream 2, we continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies. And I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
Okay. So very clearly saying that, right? Pete Grabber, nice to see you. Gaslit Zombie, there are no coincidences. Yes, well, yeah, like there's a lot of things that are sort of lining up, isn't there? And yeah, I'm not making any allegations, but I'm going to ask the questions, and things always seem to point in a certain direction that isn't what the government is telling us is happening. So what did Biden have to say about the Nord Stream pipeline leading up to it?
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine.
I'm just gonna say this is only from 2 years ago, and look how much. I mean, yeah, he looks old and decrepit then too, but I mean, he can barely respond to questions now. Like, he looks so much more clear-minded in this footage than he does now. It's bad. He is rapidly disintegrating before our eyes.
Again, then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that?
She's like, wait, what? Like, how are you going to do that? It's in the Black Sea, and you don't have any authority over there. How would you stop the pipeline? It's not in your control at all.
Exactly. Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
I am. And I think the administration is very gratified to know that Nord Stream 2 is now, as you like to say, a hunk of metal at the bottom of the sea.
Huh. Weird how that worked out, huh? All right, let's keep going here. We'll go over to Chuck Castillo. I think this might be the clip I already played. Yeah, that's Kirby. So we'll go to Hassan Siddiqui. So let's see what Russians think this is. So this is just okay, I don't know who this person is in the interview, but she's an on-the-ground journalist there, like an independent journalist type. And he says, today she visited the Moscow attack, and the extent of the devastation was truly shocking in person, far beyond what the video captures. And they're using the ISIS's Israel, Mossad, and CIA. So there's people suggesting that this is Mossad and CIA. Okay, so she's saying it's very obvious to Russians on the ground there. All right, we'll leave that one. They seem to think that this was Ukraine with the backing of the CIA and Mossad. And it's not like the CIA hasn't been involved in Ukraine before, so she's not making any super far-fetched allegations. Okay, so this is from Maria Zakova. This is some spokesperson from Russia. I'm sorry, I don't know what her position is, but she might be like the Korean Jean-Pierre over in Russia. But she says the only head of state with enough shit brains to accuse Russia of terrorism is Zelensky, because a thief always feels guilty. No curse could destroy him as powerfully as his own incriminating statement. Never forget, for those who didn't come home yesterday, for everyone on the front lines, for the ally of angels, never forget. Yes, she used the emoji. Oh, okay. All right. So, okay, well, that's all I have for this screen, but there is something that I do want to show you guys. There's videos that it's very interesting when I bookmark certain videos and then they just disappear from my bookmarks. It's very strange. And the videos will just be a lot of videos seem to get taken down and it's sort of suspect. So I want to go over to this is from Real Global News, and it is a clip from RT, but this gentleman they're interviewing has some very interesting things to say that should be heard. Let's see. Oh, crap. You had no audio on that one? Huh. Let's see. All right, let me go back and play that one then. Sorry if I messed that one up. All right. All right, I'll play that video again because that's kind of important. Huh, I wonder why you had no audio on that. That's weird. Okay, so let me try this again. Tell me if you guys get audio on this one. All right, I'm gonna play this one more time. Tell me if you guys got audio.
Reporting from Moscow, where the terrorist attack happened. Behind me there, you'll see the burnt building where the grenades went off, where the terrorists killed plus of 60 people. We have here the police, security services, and also more.
You guys got audio on it this time?
Mourners who are putting flowers down for the deceased.
Cool.
There's an element of shock here. Essentially, it's a feeling of the war has come to the heart of Russia. And when I'm talking about the war, I'm talking about the war in Ukraine. Because in spite of the claims that ISIS was behind this, it's very clear to people here that Ukraine is somehow implicated. And not only Ukraine, but the CIA, Mossad, the whole gang of scum and villainy that have been targeting Russia for its stance not only against NATO, but in the Middle East. And I'm going to take you around, show you what I can show you.
All right. So I think you guys heard it that time. All right, so I'll stop sharing this one. And we'll go over to the other clip that I want to show you guys. Well, I have a whole bunch of more clips that I want to show you guys, but this one is a very specific one that I want to show because what this guy has to say is quite interesting. So we'll keep going here. All right, cool. Thanks. RGS, Eric, Terry, thank you so much. Terry, I'm glad you're still here. I know you I don't think you like when I bring up certain topics. And I think you disagree with me on some of my Israel stances. So I appreciate that you're still here. I could be wrong about that. You might agree with me. Who knows? But I think you don't. So let's go over to global news, and this is a clip from RT. But you guys, this is why I think Israel could be involved in this kind of stuff. This clip is sort of illuminating.
Conflict that is happening here.
Well, people have been massacred. My people has been slaughtered by your proxies, and you will pay the...
Sorry,
conflict that is happening here.
Well, people have been massacred. My people has been slaughtered by your proxies, and you will pay the price. Is it clear? Believe me.
I don't actually think it is clear.
Very, very, very sternly.
I don't think it is clear, Mr. Weidman, and I would suggest
then it should be
in the
clear.
future,
It should be clear.
as being a politician,
it should be clear to you, because you have to understand that actions have consequences. And when people support murder of Jews, people pay the price. This is true in Gaza. This is true everywhere else. The time that Jews actually have no power to defend themselves is gone. And people will now have to bear the consequences of them supporting genocidal Nazis who are out to exterminate Jews. What we have seen 10 days ago is not something normal. We have seen these Nazis going out, massacring people in the streets, babies, beheading them, older people, women, raping, all these things. You've seen them with your eyes. How can you even dare to support the murderers? I tell you frankly, the public opinion in Israel has changed. We are not now where we were 10 days ago. You expect that.
That's a shorter clip than the one I saw.
I understand you are on the Russian payroll, and I understand this is...
So he specifically says Russia will pay the price. He threatens, and I had a longer clip, but it disappeared from my bookmarks, and I can't find it on the internet anymore. But this clip has been going around. This looks like it was 10 days after the October 7th attack, and this man was very upset about Russian support, and he was saying that Russia will pay the price. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that clip. It's sort of illuminating. We'll keep going here. So, okay. And this is another clip that's been circulating and going viral, and this clip has been widely circulated. It keeps. It's another clip that I bookmark and it disappears, and I have to go find it again. But this is horrific, and it looks like war crimes. It looks like the IDF targeting kids, targeting civilians that are trying to return home unarmed, walking, and it's bad. And this Alex Jones has been sort of standoffish on this whole thing and hasn't been criticizing Israel in the way that he used to. And a lot of people are speculating that, he might have gotten a stern talking to, but this clip seems to have activated Alex Jones because he is very, very upset watching this clip. And this is allegedly, let me pause it. So this clip allegedly is footage from a downed IDF drone that they got because it landed in Gaza, and then I don't know, Hamas or whoever got the drone, and then they got the footage out of the drone. So that's what this footage allegedly is. You guys may have seen this already, but this clip, it's been widely circulated, but it seems to disappear quickly. But you guys, so some people are trying to say that these are IEDs that they stepped on. If you slow down the footage and you look at the freeze frames, which there's tons of them, these are very clearly rockets. And this is footage obtained by Al Jazeera, and they are alleging that it is footage taken from an IDF drone. And these guys apparently are walking back to, they're trying to return to their home in an area that the IDF is saying don't go to because, it's currently under attack or whatever, but these guys aren't listening and they're just going to go back home. But it's just four dudes walking. They appear unarmed and they're just walking. So there's a lot of really horrific videos coming out of there, and it's, all of them are called Hamas propaganda, but it can't be. All of this can't be Hamas propaganda. And I'll say it again. I think the end result of this will be all of Gaza, all of Palestine being leveled, all of it. And every single Palestinian being forced out of there, and Israel will take all of the land, 100% of it. I think that is what's going to happen here. This is a 100% land grab. And I've said it before, so I might as well say it again. The October 7th attack, like, everybody glosses over this fact. Like, yes, it was a horrific terrorist attack. But again, Israeli Mossad is like the most intelligent intelligence agency. Gaza is right there. Egypt warned them ahead of time. Embedded within the Hamas fighters, the Hamas terrorists, whatever you want to call them, sorry. Yeah, it was terrorism. I do denounce Hamas, all that stuff. Embedded within them was journalists. Within the group, while the attack was happening, there was journalists within Hamas. So first of all, what the hell? Like, how are you going to be a journalist and watch a terrorist attack? Secondly, how did they know and Mossad didn't? Why did it take them 6 hours to respond? You have to ask the question, did they allow the attack to happen to use as precedent to go in and level Gaza? You have to ask the question. You can't, sure, call me a conspiracy theorist, say it's anti-Semitic. To me, that's the exact opposite of anti-Semitic. I'm questioning whether the government, the Israeli government, allowed their own people, Jews, to be slaughtered. I don't want people to be slaughtered. I don't want anybody to die. That's the whole point, is I'm anti-war, and I want people to stop being killed. I want people to stop being killed in Ukraine. I don't want people to be killed in Russia. I don't want people to be killed in Israel. I don't want people to be killed in Gaza or anywhere else. Yes, I don't want people to be killed in Yemen. I don't want people to be killed in any of the other, in Sudan, in any of these other areas where there's conflict. And yeah, we should be focusing on that stuff more. There isn't enough talk about that. The thing is, we are directly funding Ukraine. We are directly funding that war, where without us, they would have been forced to the negotiation table months ago. and they would have had to negotiate with Russia, and a lot of young Ukrainian men wouldn't be put into the meat grinder. Same thing with Israel. And this is, I mean, I will say, yeah, Gaza is an open air prison. They're control all the food that goes in and out of there, the internet, the electricity. They are 100% under control of a totalitarian state. I'm not justifying anything that they did, but if I grew up my entire life being under totalitarian control, you bet your ass I'm going to turn evil. I am going to hate the people that are controlling every aspect of my life. I'm not justifying anything that anyone did, but if you are taking my liberty from me, my liberty to live freely, travel, access to information, access to food, water, yeah, I am going to slowly become more radicalized, if you will. So I'm not justifying anything that they did, but I'm not also saying that there wasn't any sort of provocation for it. Call me anti-Semitic, call me whatever you want, but I don't want Jews to die. I don't want Palestinians to die. I don't want anyone to die. I want the fighting to stop. That's what this is all about. That's what all being anti-war means. It's denouncing all war and all fighting. So I'm just saying you have to ask the questions, and no matter how uncomfortable those questions may be. So I will ask the question, did the Israeli government allow the attack on October 7th to happen in order to justify what they're doing in Gaza now? Charlie Kirk asked that question early on. It seems like he's been shut up. You're not going to shut me up. I'm going to keep talking about it. So this is the footage, you guys, and it's hard to watch.
على طريق أشبعتها آلياته تجريفا. انسحبت الآليات من المنطقة برا، لكنها بقيت تترصد الماء على طريق أشبعتها آلياته تجريفا. سقوط الصاروخ. وبالعودة للموقع يبدو في الصور أن أحد انسحبت الآليات من المنطقة برا، لكنها بقيت تترصد الماء على طريق أشبعتها آلياته تجريفا. بان يتحرك. كل هذا والمسير.
So those four guys that were walking, there's a huge rocket that came in. I guess they don't show it in this one. It's censored, which you guys probably don't want to see it. It's a rocket that comes in and it just blows them to smithereens. One guy survives and he continues walking because it looks like he can't run. He looks injured. He keeps walking.
يرى لم تترك المكان. وكل هذا والمسيرة ومن يشر.
And a lot of people are saying he stepped on an IED, and it's like, okay, you see all these tank tracks right here? See all these tracks? And you slow it down, you can see the rocket come in. It wasn't an IED. And they just blew this guy to smithereens.
غيلها ومن يتلقى الصور التي تلتقطها في مركز قيادة القوة الجوية.
So they targeted these guys. There's one more video to watch, guys.
قوة الاحتلال أهدافها وهدفها في هذه الحرب المدنيون. تعود.
So he just happened to fall down right there and then crawl onto an IED. It was a rocket. They targeted these guys. That they weren't active combatants. They weren't a threat to anybody. They were four guys walking, and people are saying missing context, this and that. I don't know what context we could be missing here. This is horrific, and there's all sorts of these videos coming out of there. There's so many civilian casualties in this, and you know, they're without electricity, they're without internet in a lot of these areas. So there's a lot of the stuff coming out of there. We're not seeing a lot of stuff coming out of there, but the stuff you do see is horrific. And is there Hamas propaganda coming out of there? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There is, but not all of it. Not all of it, folks. So we'll keep going here. All right. Let's see. Checking with the chat here. Okay. Can't tell they're unarmed. They're of fighting age. They're heading into a known no-go zone. Well, okay. Their home is a no-go zone. They can't like it's their country, you know. You can't tell that they're unarmed. Okay, but I'm not buying that. I agree. The Ukraine thing is still open to becoming another Vietnam, Afghanistan. Pete Grabber. People are no longer drinking the Kool-Aid. Horrific, yes, but that arena, those are legitimately considered fighters. What about the kids that were targeted on the beach a few weeks ago that were fishing? They are targeting civilians. They are indiscriminately bombing people. They're laughing after they're doing it. There's all sort of footage coming out that's undeniable. IDF soldiers killing innocent civilians. There's plenty of it. And yeah, there's horrible shit coming out of there. So Ganko 1, Russia supports Hamas? Question mark. I don't know. That's a good question. The RGS, but just as you said, we can be critical and distrustful of every other government, including our own, but we can't criticize Israel. It's true. The RGS, Alex Jones is under Steven Crowder's mug club now, and unfortunately, I agree with Crowder a lot, but he very much supports Israel. He might have spoken to Jones. Alex Jones is he's with the mug club? What? InfoWars? InfoWars is its own thing. Since when? I didn't know that. Okay, well, Alex Jones is not being quiet about this stuff anymore. Let's keep going. So we'll go over to, okay, so I'm not saying I agree with this video at all, but this is another thing that's floating around where people are saying Israel is ISIS. And I'm going to play it. I'm going to play the video. Let's watch. Hopefully you guys have audio on this one.
The best way I can describe Israel is it's ISIS with nuclear bombs and coffee shops in Tel Aviv. Netanyahu, he's completely secular and is not an observant Jew at all. He has surrounded himself for years and years and years with the most fanatical elements of Israeli society. Best two examples, the most prominent are Itamar Ben-Gvir, the national security minister, who is a follower of Rabbi Meir Kahane, who's essentially like the Zionist version of an ISIS ideologue. Itamar Ben-Gvir was a member of what Israel and the United States considered a terrorist group. This Kahanist group was called a terrorist group, and now he's actually running the police. He's the one who has banned these anti-war demonstrations. And then you have Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, who in 2017 published his genocidal plan, literally in Hebrew called the subjugation plan. And this plan called for full ethnic cleansing. Basically, the three options he listed out in the subjugation plan were anyone who submits to the state of Israel and abides by what are called the Noahide laws, which are a series of 7 laws for non-Jews that mean no idol worship, so no Christianity, no Islam, no other religion, and basically you live as a slave. The other option is you leave, you're ethnically cleansed, you expel, or the third option is you are killed, you're executed. So these are the 3 options that Bezalel Smotrich wrote in his public plan called the subjugation plan in 2017. And this man is the finance minister, and there are others around Netanyahu. These are the 2 most prominent ones.
And you just had Chuck Schumer and Biden basically denounced Netanyahu. I don't know if denounce is the right word, but Chuck Schumer came out straight up and said he needs to be out of power. So that's kind of interesting. All right, let's so I mean, this is kind of out of place, this video, but this is from Ian Carroll and talks about back to AIPAC, the biggest funder of Mike Gallagher, along with Palantir, and how they don't need to be registered as a foreign agent. And well, why is that? Why do they not need to be registered as a foreign agent? And Ian Carroll talks about something pretty interesting here. And get your tinfoil hat ready. So let's see. The RGS, Israeli warfare is known for their ruthless targeting of soft targets. Okay. All right. We'll keep going. So this is about AIPAC, and this is a conspiracy theory. I'll just say that one right off the bat. This is going back to JFK. This is Ian Carroll, and he makes a compelling presentation here.
Have you ever wondered how we got to this point where one of the biggest lobbying groups in America can openly brag that they are representing a foreign country? This is from AIPAC's website, but somehow they don't have to register under the FARA Act as someone acting on behalf of a foreign actor. They literally brag about how many millions they spent and about how 98% of their vying of our politicians was successful this election cycle? Did you know that they were actually
So that was insane to me, how they came out and they bragged and they just said, yeah, 98% of the people that we backed got into office. Like, what? Like, how is it that a foreign nation can not only donate to all these politicians, not registered as a foreign agent, but then just brag about how a foreign country got all their people elected? And are those people now going to do your bidding? How much control over our government does Israel have?
actually this close to having to register as a foreign agent before a certain thing happened? Here, I'll show you, and I'll show you where you can find all these primary sources too. So if you go to this URL right here, israellobby.org/AZCDOJ, it's a history of when AIPAC almost had to register as a foreign agent. And back then, they were known as the American Zionist Council. Right there, the American Zionist Council. Well, it turns out that President John F. Kennedy was about to force them to register under FARA. And this is a history of all of the original documents that pertain to the legal case.
You know, a lot of people say it was the Italian mob that killed JFK. A lot of people say it was the CIA that killed JFK. A lot of people say it was Israel that killed JFK. Well, Meyer Lansky, wasn't he known as the mob accountant, a Zionist, and then the CIA and Mossad heavily intertwined? What if it was all of them sort of working together? And I'm just speculating. This is tinfoil hat time. I'm just saying. But it was quite interesting how JFK was trying to make AIPAC register as a foreign agent, and then a big chunk of his head went missing.
And when you click on any of these links, it'll take you to original archived sources of the actual documents from the actual testimonies that you can read. Even cool little snippets like this that say federal lawyers are near a decision on whether to require the AZC to register as an agent of the Israeli government. And back in June and July of 1963, the federal government was nearing a decision requiring the American Zionist Council registering as an agent of the Israeli government. Americans of whatever faith believe firmly that America is their country and America alone. The Zionist lawyer, Mr. Lenvin, advised that public registration would be injurious to the American Zionist Council.
You don't say. If a foreign entity had to register as a foreign entity, it would hinder them in their goals. You don't say.
Notice that the Honorable Donald Rumsfeld was involved.
Oh, who's that again? The guy that announced for missing $2.3 trillion on September 10th, 2001?
And as 1963 went on, it all heated up. And by October of 1963, they were saying things like forms are enclosed for the use of the American Zionist Council in registering under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. But then what happened in November of 1963?
There's a cover-up that's about to happen here.
The president who was spearheading the whole thing just suddenly wasn't there anymore. And to be clear, I would never infer that Israel had anything to do with that whole thing. I'm just saying it was really convenient timing that it happened to turn out that way. And then in December of 1963, we get this document. As you know, our client is not prepared to register as an agent of foreign principal or to concede that it is subject to the registration requirement. December 11th, 1963. And to this day, the single most influential big money group in Democratic electoral politics is not registered as a foreign actor. Although the U.S. Justice Department clearly states that FARA requires the registration of anyone that represents the interests of the foreign principal before any agency or official of the U.S. government. All the rest of that also applies. That's just the most
obvious statement. Because if they were registered under FARA, they would have to disclose where all the money's coming from. And they don't want to. So they just don't. And that's how we wind up with screens like this. And with AIPAC openly bragging on the internet about how they pay to get candidates to win, despite their policies being clearly unpopular with regular people in America. And that's why it's so important that we stop China from subverting our democracy by controlling what we see on our social media apps. You feel me?
It's all kind of coming full circle, isn't it? How many people does AIPAC get elected? And do those people now have to do AIPAC's bidding? Is there certain things that they have to do? Like Mike Gallagher introducing the TikTok bill that it looks like is going to be bought by Zionists, and then Mike Gallagher steps down on a very specific date that leaves his seat open. It really looks like the tables are being deliberately set. Just saying. Okay. Eric, I already read that. Pete Grabber, subjugation plan, sheesh. Eric suggests they have an end to the voting process, doesn't it? Yeah. Maybe it's time to revisit the gold standard. Oh shit! Yes, damn straight. The RGS Israel hit a butt ton of soft targets in the 7-day war with Egypt. That would be why it was only 7 days with Egypt. Didn't want to lose any more civilians. Ian Carroll is hilarious. Yes, he is hilarious, and he has an awesome mustache and great hair. I'm not no homo. Just saying. All right, let's keep going here. Let's keep going. We're not even close yet. Well, yeah, we are. I'm done with that part. I'm done with that segment. But now we got to talk about something else. Now we got to talk about Candace. Yeah, we got to talk about the Candace situation. So this is again, it's sort of in that same vein a little bit. Yeah, let's keep going here. Let's go to Glenn Greenwald. He is one of my favorite journalists, and he has a great show. So he's actually talking about Saagar Enjeti. Well, he reacts to a clip from Saagar Enjeti, and let's see what he has to say here.
Episode. So as you can see, I mean, this has been a major source of tension inside the Daily Wire now for months and months and months. And I think, look, what can we learn about this? I mean, first and foremost, it's a little bit hilarious, right? That this is what led to the departure over at the Daily Wire. Like Candace, look, whether you like her or not, she said a lot of things. She said a lot of controversial. She actually just did a whole segment about Brigitte Macron perhaps being a male. I haven't watched it. I haven't looked into it, just to be clear. So I don't know the merits or whatever that. But my point.
She did go hard on that. She says, I stake my reputation on it, that Macron's wife is a dude. She's saying that. So I don't know. You guys can look into that one yourself. I don't know either way, but she is staking her reputation that Macron's wife is actually a dude and that Macron was actually groomed.
Point is that all of that was fine. And that never kicked up a hornet's nest. It was only when she started critiquing Israeli war strategy in Gaza and talking about civilian casualties did all of this come to the surface. And frankly, saying what I think are principled and or at the very least, principled within her framework of looking at war at Ukraine and at Israel, adopting an America First strategy. It was only that, clinging to that, which led to basically the breakup between her and this major company. And I think that we can learn quite a bit from that. I mean, there's so much to say, right? First of all, the ADL. I mean, Ben Shapiro himself has gone after the ADL. I've seen innumerable Daily Wire segments about the ADL, Censorious, and all that. And yet they're, parting ways with her immediately after the ADL, incorrectly, by the way, guilt by association smears her. It says, so-and-so is praising so-and-so. So you can't control that. If you want to attack somebody, then attack what they specifically said. They're using guilt by association. Now, we don't know, again, what the exact thing that led to the breakage between them. But prior to this, there had been not one single ounce of consternation from Daily Wire leadership, from Candace Owens. She previously talked about how she had a good relationship inside of the company. And look, we all know it's because of Israel. And her
relationship with Kanye West. It's one of her closest friends. And I don't think Ben Shapiro likes that too much.
That's crazy. It's crazy that Candace Owens, who is a conservative commentator, who is working for an organization which was supposedly founded on the bedrock of free speech, speaking your mind, saying facts aren't facts. What is it? Facts aren't your feelings, something like that. And by sticking to what she believes in, she is effectively out of a job. And this is an organization, the Daily Wire, which honestly, I don't think they can come back from this. I'm not saying that they won't be successful and all that. Listen, I don't doubt, from a business perspective, can't help but respect it. But from a principle perspective, I think a lot of people are going to remember this. A lot of people are going to see kind of the double talk around cancel culture and free speech and what are real red lines and what aren't red lines. This has been a very, very revealing episode in the last 6-7 months or whatever, since October 7th. And this is just the latest casualty here in America. But I think the rift actually does tell you a lot about, when you're in the institutional right, what you're allowed to talk about, what you're allowed not to. Never been happy.
So there's one very big name podcaster that's considered a conservative or a right-wing podcaster that does not want to touch this issue. And anytime, not that he doesn't have people come on that talk about it, but he shoots them down real quick as soon as people come on and talk about it. Yes, I'm talking about Tim Pool. He just had Harrison, blanking on his last name right now, from InfoWars. Is it Harrison Smith? I like him. He's awesome. We follow each other. I think I've DM'd with him a couple of times, actually. He's really cool guy. Great dude. And he is highly critical of Israel. And Tim Pool just was, that subject didn't even come up on the episode, but Tim Pool was just such a dick to him the whole time, just picking out the tiniest little things that he would say. It just seemed like he wanted to argue with him about everything. And he was just being extra dickish even than he normally was. Talking about Gladio again, RGS. So I personally think it's because of Tim's relationship with the Daily Wire and why he doesn't want to come anywhere near that topic. But that's just me speculating on that one. I could be completely wrong. It could just be that he is very pro-Israel and doesn't have any problem with what they're doing, indiscriminately bombing civilians in Gaza. So, yeah, we'll keep going here. So here's Candace Owens' clip when she announced that, yep, they are parting ways, her and the Daily Wire. This is just from Candace herself.
Rumors are true. I am free. Welcome to my locals page. So much to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to take a couple of weeks here just to rebuild and to refocus and to create something that is actually mine and something that can't be threatened or taken because it belongs to me. I can't tell you enough how much your support has meant to me over the years. We're just getting started. Join the locals page. Obviously, here you can support me and my work as an independent journalist, as an independent podcaster. We're still going to be doing 5 days a week. There'll be tons of announcements coming in the next couple of weeks. And I guess the last thing I want to say is thank you. For those of you that don't want to be on locals and just want to support in any capacity, you can head to gocandace.com. Thank you, guys. Rumors are true.
The RGS, I see you talking about Operation Gladio again, and I just went surface level on that stuff. I just sort of briefly looked into the Operation Gladio, and it looks like it was a CIA operation that was like highly decentralized. So it was super secretive, and yeah, I need to look into it much more. And one of the reasons that I'm sort of wishy-washy on some of these issues, not wishy-washy is the wrong word, but I don't take a really hard, firm stance on things, because I don't take a hard, firm stance on something unless it's something that I know a ton about. And a lot of this Israel stuff, look, I grew up being very pro-Israel. I have tons of Jewish friends, and my dad was very pro-Israel, and I just never wanted to look at this stuff. Just not that I didn't even want to, I just never did look at this stuff, because when I was a little kid, I was really a little kid when my dad told me this. I asked him, it was probably because it was during Desert Storm, when the first Desert Storm, the first Iraq war. And I asked my dad about Israel, Palestine. I don't even know how it came up or why I asked that. I was probably like 10. And I very vividly remember my dad saying that if the Palestinians put down their weapons, there would be peace. And if Israel put down their weapons, the Palestinians would slaughter them. And it's my dad. My dad's a smart guy, so I just grew up assuming that was true. And then after October 7th, I started looking into this stuff a lot more. It's because right off the bat, right when October 7th happened, I mean, immediately, my first, with how people were reporting on it, what was being said, I was getting the whole babies and incubators vibe. Like, what? They were beheading babies? Like, who does that? It seemed so over the top to me, the reporting on it. So I just started looking into it a little more. And then it was like, wait a minute, it took them 6 hours to respond. And knowing what Mossad is, the type of intelligence that they have, it's like, how could it possibly take them 6 hours to respond to this? Like, your civilians are getting slaughtered and you're just not doing anything. You didn't know. It's either severe incompetence or you're deliberately letting it happen. Which one is it? And that question's never really been answered. Let's say it was bad intel and they just oopsie daisies. Well, that is, you are highly, highly incompetent at that point, but there's never been any answer on it. The question was never answered. Why did it take you guys 6 hours to respond? I haven't heard a good answer for that yet. And so all of this stuff, I just started looking into it a little more. And then from the time between October 7th and now, all the stuff that I've seen is very, very suspect. And I'm looking at this with a much more critical eye now. And how could you not? That's it. So, and Candace Owens has been talking about this a lot. And, well, people have been trying to cancel her. And it's whatever you think about Kanye, but after what happened to Kanye for talking about this stuff, it's like Kanye comes out and says the music industry is controlled by Jews. That's what he says. And I always say I hate the conflation with Jews and Israel, like the Israeli government, because it's not the same thing. There's Jews that are very anti-Zionist, anti-Israel government. Anyway, Kanye comes out and says that the Jews are controlling the music industry. And they're like, how dare you say that? And then all of a sudden he's like canceled from all venues. He's canceled from music labels and pretty much completely destroyed. They buried him. Well, you're not really disproving his point there. And he's not the only person that's happened to. And you have to be sort of suspect with all of that. So we'll keep going. Let's listen to Candace Owens over on the Breakfast Club. This is with Charlemagne, and she goes hard here. This isn't even about Israel. This is about the CIA.
Now, it's first off, trillions of dollars. You're signing these omnibus bills. If you read into it, where that money is going, it's insane. It's literally going, to museums, boards of museums. They're quite literally money laundering is what's happening when they sign these bills. But they keep it so that the information level is so low for Americans that it's like, oh, COVID's so bad. Like, we're going to give you a check that's like, $300. This basically describes welfarism, right? Like, despite the fact that there's been trillions of dollars since the establishment of welfare, Black Americans are poorer today than we were before it. People don't know this, but during the time of Jim Crow, before welfare was established in the 1950s, Black Americans were actually outpacing white Americans in this country in terms of economic growth. And the reason for that was because our families were together. We had good values. The government only wants to give you the bare minimum, but we're.
And I talk about like systemic racism's thrown around all the time, and it's used in such dumb context where it's like just easily disprovable. But let's not pretend that the CIA didn't flood Black neighborhoods with crack cocaine and just like destroyed Black neighborhoods. There was an attack on the Black family unit, and that did have systemic problems that still are ongoing today. But that's not what's looked at. It's looked at as the white man's ruin it. It's no, the intelligence agencies did this. And why aren't you mad at intelligence agencies for flooding Black neighborhoods with crack cocaine? Instead, you're taking it out on poor white people like me. I didn't do nothing. I grew up in the hood too. This sucks.
Where's the rest of the money? Where is it going? They sign these bills making you think that this money is going to you. It's not. They are stealing from the American people. And you look at your congressman, whoever it is that you guys sent down to DC, and you realize that they're all just puppets. I feel like we're watching a performance, and who can say the most outrageous thing. The Republicans don't want to sign this because they want, slavery and they want you back in change. The Democrats don't want to sign this because they want grandma to die. Whatever it is, you're watching just to me, it's a play.
That's why I don't think. That's why I think if you're Black, you shouldn't be beholden to any political party, Democrat or Republican.
Right. I mean, I think that any
Then why are you, Charlemagne? Why are you just always so supportive? You allowed Joe Biden on your show to straight up say to your face, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. He said that to your face and you just sat there. You didn't push back at all. Shut up, Charlemagne, talking about how you don't think you should be beholden to any party. Then why are you? Why are you beholden to the Democratic Party? Always, all the time.
Of saying that I am a Republican forever, a Democrat forever is a nonsense. You should always look at the candidates that are running, and any person that is running saying that they want to grow government is your enemy.
Why do you think people give you a lot of backlash for questioning people and having questions? I see all the time with Charlemagne, if we question something that Kamala Harris did, or question something that Joe Biden did, or question somebody that's Democrat did, why do you think our people have so much backlash when you ask so many questions?
Well, because I think that they don't realize that they've been manipulated against their own interests. And a lot of it is, when you start telling the truth, you become a problem to the establishment, right? So if you're the military industrial complex and you want people to just kind of sleepwalk into another war, and I'm sitting here telling you that, Pentagon just can't keep finding the trillions of dollars that they send overseas. They've got this budget and they're sending all this money to Ukraine. And then they say, oh, we don't know where all the money went. It's being laundered and it's being sent back to a very small group of powerful people. And so when you have someone like me who's cutting through all of the emotional arguments, you have to turn that person into persona non grata, right? And what better way to do it than to have their own community attacking them and saying that they're, pro-white or anti-Black. I mean, it's a nonsense things that they say about me. If you listen to what I'm actually saying, I'm sitting here providing a blueprint for Black Americans to get ahead because it's time. Okay, it's time. We've been doing this for a very long time in this country. Black America, wake up. Okay, they don't like you. They don't like us. Okay, there's
so
not.
America
has yes,
government.
America.
Yeah, like the government, the American government. Why would you think the American government wants to help you? Well, at what point in history has that proven to be right? And I'll challenge that and I'll make it wider to all Americans. When has it ever been the circumstance that you felt that the government really just was out for your own best interests? Think of them as a corporation. They want to grow themselves. They want new departments, bigger departments, larger budgets like any other corporation would want. And they never want to leave DC because we don't have term limits, which we should have, right? If we had term limits and said, you can only serve for 4 years, well, then guess what they would be doing for those 4 years? Trying to shrink government because they'd have to come back out and be us, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at the way that your tax dollars are being spent, you should be outraged. You should be angry, but stop thinking that the enemy is, they constantly have us arguing against each other, women versus men, Black versus white, It's a nonsense. The reason why they want us constantly warring is because it distracts from all of us coming together and taking a look at who the real criminals are. And the real criminals are this small group, this small cadre of powerful people that I think we're virtually all still on a plantation. They just made it look nice. You got a nice chair. We got nice chairs here. But I think we're all still on a plantation.
Shut up.
Did she say anything there that you guys disagree with? I mean, she said some things before that I disagree with, but actually, I can't think of any offhand though. And she articulates her points very well. So it's yeah, I don't disagree with anything that she said there. Term limits. Let's see. Hold up. Sorry, let me go back here. Eric, I have no issue with the Intel failure sorting through millions of puzzle pieces to make up 1,000. I don't know what you mean there. Puzzles and you don't have edge pieces. It's easy to find them after the puzzle is finished. North Pete Grabber, what was that vote about? What's offensive? I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to there either. Term limits and forbid lobbying. Yeah, and especially from foreign governments. And maybe we should not have people that have dual citizenship in our government either. Housewife Politica, the point she missed is that DC wasn't a corporation when it was founded. Did she miss that point, or did she just not find it relevant to talk about right then? Okay, let's see. Whiskey Reaper. I'm not. I don't think I can read all your comments there, Whiskey Reaper. Yeah, I'm gonna leave those ones be, buddy. Nice to see you though. The RGS. Okay. You guys are terrible. Let's see. Ganko 1. If we had term limits, Trudeau couldn't have ruined us like he did. Ganko 1, are you up in Canada? I didn't know you're up in Canada. Okay. Whiskey Reaper telling truth bombs. All right. Yep. I agree there. Let's keep going. I got another Candace clip I want to play, actually. This one's a little shorter, but it's also from the Breakfast Club. And yeah, this one's a 2-minute one. And this one, she's like, this one, she's blowing all their minds. I like this clip's more fun because she's running a clinic and educating some folks on this one. All right, hold up. Sorry.
Well, before we say Hollywood was.
Now, why do you believe that Hollywood was created by the CIA?
Well, before we say Hollywood was created by the CIA, I guess I should clarify because, first off, you guys do know the Pentagon has a budget for film. Like, there's a whole department in the Pentagon. Know that. That's a fact. There you go. That's all you need to know. There's an entire department in the Pentagon. They get involved with films, and they get involved with films for the purpose of propaganda. They always have.
What movies have
I
they
should have
produced?
Said Pentagon instead of CIA. Tons of them. I should show you the list. You should pull it up. It's wild.
Absolutely,
Yeah, Pentagon
please.
Department for Hollywood. Tons of them.
I have to
Even
report this.
Transformers. Even Transformers, like, because they're concerned about certain narratives. They get involved with like World War films, like how are we telling a story about history? Usually it's because we're lying about what we did or trying not to make Americans aware of the crimes against humanity that we commit overseas,
Yeah, the Pentagon has funded some films. Black Hawk Down, Red Dawn, GoldenEye.
The more you know. So now you understand your experience in theaters is what your government wants you to think. They want you to think that this is how things happen, and it's usually not at all how things have actually happened.
6 of the best movies made with help from the Department of Defense. This is military.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said CIA. I should have just said the government. But
Top Gun.
Yeah.
Red Dawn, Apollo 13.
Mm-hmm. It's all about
Iron
just
Man?
Iron Man. Oh my
I
God.
didn't know that was on the list.
Now he upset.
Wow.
Now he upset.
Maybe that's interesting.
Now you said
But talking about continue.
What? Iron Man? Nah, that's her limit right there. She was like, you know what? Now it's crazy.
She's an Iron Man fan. Yeah, it makes you so the whole predictive programming stuff that you always hear about. I mean, especially with those 2 movies that just came out, the Obama one for Netflix. What was that one called with Julia Roberts? Whatever, I don't care what it was called, but yeah, they are definitely trying to control the narrative for sure. Intelligence agencies are trying to control the narrative.
What is the point of that? Just control?
Yeah, propaganda. It's crazy. You grow up in school and you think propaganda belongs to the East or something. Propaganda is the name of the game of our government. They, again, never want you to look into the crimes that they are committing. So they're constantly trying to sell themselves as the good guys. They did the most. They rescued and saved the world. They've never done anything bad overseas. If you are living and you believe that the American government hasn't committed crimes against humanity, you had to wake up from the propaganda. You just got to, you got to learn real history, not what was taught to you in a textbook. That's all just propaganda. We've done horrific things.
No lies detected. No lies detected at all. All right. What else do I got here? I got 2 more clips. Are they relevant though? That is the thing. Okay, so this is one of the last interviews. This might have been the last interview that Candace did, and a lot of people are speculating that this was like the nail in her coffin. So let's check this one out, because yeah, it's this. She made this rabbi very angry, and I don't know. You guys see if Rabbi Shmuley's been attacking her like crazy, and this is a different rabbi. This isn't Rabbi Shmuley, but Rabbi Shmuley, Michael Jackson's old rabbi, he's been going after Candace very hard indeed. And let's watch this one, and you guys see if this might be the thing that got her canceled.
Everything I'm saying about him, like, if this is holy, like, you know, selling butt plugs with your daughter, I don't know.
Okay,
maybe.
So that's Rabbi Shmuley. Oh yeah, Rabbi Shmuley, by the way, he sells dildos. He sells sex toys, and it's called kosher sex. And this is the guy that is claiming to have some sort of moral high ground talking to Candace.
You're right. I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. And I do not, it's not the definition of holy in the Christian faith, is what I would say. It's weird to me.
Well, okay.
It's very, and this could be a difference in our religions, but by the way, your religion does not trump my religion. So I think that you should respect the fact when I say something is unholy, I am referring to my religion. His relationship between him and his daughter is very creepy to me. The sex podcast is very creepy to me. The idea of sitting down and talking to your father about, you know, topics of sex in any regard is creepy to me. Him promoting butt plugs that are sold by his daughter is creepy to me. I have a right to say that I find this to be utterly unholy, and that any faith leader, at least in the Christian community, would agree that all of this is giving us very weird vibes between the father and daughter relationship. I can say that all I want. And I do think that part of it, and this is where we get to the topic of where people perceive this and they say, is this a form of Jew supremacy? To say, suspend your Christianity because my Judaism matters more, is the feeling that I get when you say, you don't get to say it's an unholy rabbi. Pornography,
okay, you know
pornography is unholy in my view. You might disagree with that. It is unholy to Christians. The topic of pornography, peddling pornography, selling butt plugs, you know, the commercialization of pornography is unholy. And I'm going to continue to call him unholy because that is what I deem him to be. And I say that as a Christian.
Yeah, he didn't like that too much. They got into it heavily, though. You guys can go watch the whole interview. Actually, I'm curious if it's still up on the Daily Wire. I'm very curious. I'm wondering if they took it down. Yeah, that's actually very curious now. I wonder if they took that down. So let's listen to Rabbi Shmuley talk, shall we? Because I probably won't play this whole clip because I can't stand listening to this guy talk. He creeps me out so much. This guy gives me the willies for sure. Just straight up gives me the willies.
Hi, everyone. I think you're going to be blown away by the debate that I did today against Cenk Uygur on Piers Morgan, where Candace Owens was a big part of the debate. She won't.
Yeah, Cenk destroyed you in that interview. He made you look silly.
Debate me. I have said, and I will repeat, Candace, I will debate you at any reasonable time and place of your choosing, in front of any reasonable crowd of your choosing. We can debate anti-Semitism. We can debate the events of October 7th. We can debate Jesus. We can debate what you believe that Jews should.
Okay, it's just a lot of him going off on Candace, but there was a clip that was circulating of him that he's claiming was AI. It was made up, but that clip has been just like scrubbed from the internet, and it's very hard to find, but it's audio of him saying, I'm going to sue that N-word, or I'm going to sue the hell out of that N-word. And he's saying that wasn't him. That sure sounds like him. And I don't know, it might have been fake audio, but it's weird how it's really hard to find that on the internet now, and it's just been scrubbed from everywhere.
All bow down to Jesus. I believe that you're completely ignorant of Jesus and Christianity. So everyone's.
I'm sorry. It's the way he talks, the stuff he does with his mouth, is the pubic hair all over his face. This guy just gives me the creeps. I'm sorry.
She would not debate me. Chen Geiger did, and you'll be very interested. They even did a live from my daughter.
And they actually, Cenk didn't agree to a debate with him. They told him somebody else was going to be on the show, and it wasn't him. And Cenk basically says, like, I wouldn't even have agreed to this if I knew that you're the scumbag that I was going to be talking to. And I can't stand Cenk. I can't stand Cenk at all. And Cenk actually looked somewhat based in that interview. It was weird.
There's a kosher sex store in Jerusalem where creepy Candace,
He just says, he talks about his kosher sex store and then calls Candace creepy.
Candace has her head not only in the genital area, sorry to be so gross, but one must respond to this really creepy, sex-obsessed woman, Candace Owens.
He's calling Candace Owens sex-obsessed, and he runs a sex store and does a podcast with his daughter where they talk about sexual topics. Okay.
She has her head in the genital area of the First Lady of France, a very fine 70-year-old woman, Brigitte Macron. But enough of Candace.
Oh yeah, he's criticizing her because Candace is swearing that Macron's wife is a dude. She's swearing that. She says she stakes her reputation on that. So it's going to be very curious to see. I haven't dug into that one yet.
I now want to address her troglodyte knuckle-dragging followers.
So a lot of people are criticizing him heavily for saying that. Troglodyte knuckle-dragging followers. Saying that's extremely racist to say. It's
of which she is the queen bee. Look, guys,
so they're arguing that he's calling her followers monkeys.
tried for days now to imitate my voice with deep fakes about racist slurs.
That's what I was talking about. The audio that was going around saying he's going to sue that N-word, and he's saying that it's a deep fake.
But the problem is you're either getting me sounding like Darth Vader. Candace, you are my daughter. May the force be with you. Or you're getting me sounding, maybe intentionally, like a Confederate general at Gettysburg. Time to take Cemetery Ridge.
No, it sounded exactly like him. The audio that I heard.
I'm not good at. By the way, I love Southern accents. So let's just practice here, guys.
All right, I've had enough of this guy. I can't stand this dude. He is creepy, and yeah, I've had enough. I don't want to listen to him talk anymore, so I'm not going to. All right, yeah, that is. I think that is it for the show tonight. That is all I got to present to you guys. Whiskey Reaper, Chunky Yogurt. What are you talking about? The RGS. Hit the like button. Oh yeah, I always forget. I'm like my own worst enemy on this podcast. If you guys are still watching, if you guys could hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't have nearly enough followers over there on YouTube or on Rumble. So if you're over there, please subscribe, all that stuff. Their tool's pretty good at spotting AI audio and video. Yeah, I mean, it very well could have been fake as well, but I would not put it past Rabbi Shmuley to call somebody an N-word. I wouldn't, especially when he thinks he's speaking candid to his friends. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. So, lurchings. Okay. Is that you, Eric? That was over on Rumble. Lurchings, Terry Wallace, RGS, Ganko 1, Pete Grabber. Let's see who else we got here. Northside, Whiskey Reaper. Thank you guys so much for hanging out over on Rumble. Eric, Pete Grabber, you're on both chats. Housewife Politica. Let's see who else we got. A lot of you guys in the chat tonight. Daniel, nice to see all you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Missed no Wally World tonight. Bummer. All right. Well, that is all I got for the evening. I will be back. Yeah, I'll probably be back tomorrow. I'll probably do another stream tomorrow night just because there's so much other stuff that I haven't gotten into. And yeah, there's tons to cover. So I will be back tomorrow night, probably at 6:30. I will be, 6:30. Just count on it. Tomorrow night at 6:30. But before we get out of here, you know how we do it. Got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. Let's see. What do we got tonight? Okay. All right. It's a stupid one. It's a stupid one-liner. All right, this is what we got for our Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Sunshine Daydream. Nice to see you too. All right, let's get out of here. Here's our Chuck Norris joke for the evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. All right, the movie Anaconda was filmed in Chuck Norris's pants. And on that note, stay CaliBased.